I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're delving into a suspenseful legal thriller that challenges the boundaries of justice and morality. Joining me is Georgia Zaslove, author of Spirit of the Law and the Crime Against the Soul. This gripping novel set in 1993 Memphis takes us inside the courtroom and into the mind of a defense attorney turned prosecutor as he risks everything to expose a psychopath's deadly game. If you love legal dramas with high stakes and shocking twists, this is a book you won't want to miss, and this is an interview you won't want to miss. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Georgia, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Good to be with you.
This is such a compelling story. It feels very real, kind of ripped from the headlines. Is there any truth to it? Was it inspired by a real life crime, perhaps?
Yes, it actually was something that happened in my husband was an attorney. I ended up working in his office after I had my baby because I don't know, the baby was sick all the time. So my husband made me quit my job in interior design and had me work part-time. And it was really amazing, the true stories that I saw and heard in that law office are mind-boggling. Truth is stranger than fiction.
Absolutely. Yeah. If people knew the nitty gritty of crimes and got to the underbelly of the beast a little bit more than what they read in the papers, they would have their minds blown. And I guess that's why there's such an interest in true crime out there, because it is stranger than fiction, as you said. Yours blends fiction and reality, which makes for a wonderful read. Talk to us a little bit about Cy Marcus and why he's such a compelling protagonist and how you developed his character.
Well, actually, I sort of copied my husband, who was a defense attorney and an entertainment attorney and a trial lawyer and had had huge success, but he was a brilliant attorney. And just watching him work, and I went to court with him several times, it was fascinating. And the thing that happened that started this was he had a client. His clients were very faithful to him. He had a client came in one day and I was there and I was talking to her. She was shaking and crying and said she had to see Cy. And so I took her in and I stayed with her. He was busy for a while, but I took her in and stayed with her. She said she'd had a dream and her niece had come to her and told her she was murdered and who did it. And so my husband, of course, sat there very quiet, listening. And she said, but I can't go to the police. I found out I'd got a call today that she actually was murdered, and I can't go to the police. I know they'll think I'm crazy. So I need your help. And that's how this whole story started. It, I, of course, did a lot of fiction, but that was what catapulted me into writing this book.
Amazing, amazing. It almost sounds like the classic noir of a femme fatale going to the private investigator or the attorney with his, sob story, and that turns out to be true. I mean, it really has all the elements of a great film and not only a great novel. So let me ask you that while we're talking about it. Have you envisioned this as a movie, perhaps?
I've already written the screenplay. I lived in
Wonderful.
LA for 18 years. The screenplay is written. I've entered it in several contests. I've come in first, I guess, haven't won, but first place 3 different times. I've gotten amazing feedback. And I have a man right now that I'm talking with in Beverly Hills who is an agent that I'm hoping will get something done with the screenplay.
That would be great. Just distinguishing yourself in these contests is quite a feat because they get deluged with
Right.
applications and submissions. And to stand above the crowd there, you're doing just great. So this is a movie that's a book that's ready to be turned into a movie. There's even a screenplay. So Hollywood, if you're listening, get to it. give Georgia a call. I think it would be a terrific film, that's for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the concept of the perfect murder and how it plays into the story.
Wow. That was, I actually put together some of the different murders that my husband actually handled. And it was really, of course, I had to piece together different cases, but it was all based on real life. And I think that's why the book seems so real life,
Yeah.
because even though I had to fictionalize a lot of what happened in that particular case, because I actually never went to court. So my husband and I talked about it, and I said, I want to write the story and I want to take this to court. I want to convict the guy. And so he actually helped me write the book.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's give the folks at home an overview of the story, a brief overview of the story. You've
Well,
already set it up. The woman comes, she thinks she's envisioned a murder that really has happened, right?
right. Yeah. So when my husband talked to her, of course, he did go to the police and he did talk to him. But the man had disappeared that had killed this woman. And, the police were looking, but you know how that goes. And so my husband was really interested in this woman had decided to go to a psychic. And she started talking to him about the experience she had with the psychic, and she was talking to her niece. And so he was really fascinated with that, and so was I. So we went to a psychic and we actually talked to her niece.
Amazing.
And that was a fascinating thing. Now, who knows what truth is, but to us, it seemed very, very real. So the book is a paranormal subplot in that even though we don't make a big deal of it, we don't really have very much of the subplot in there. It's in the very beginning and it's in the very end. The idea
Very
is
cool.
we're not pushing that, it's just something that actually happened.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very cool aspect to the story, no doubt. I think crime today and crime solving today is boring because there's a camera on every corner. There's a
Right,
digital footprint of every action we make. Well, I could
right,
actually follow you from your kitchen all the way down the street and back again into the gym or whatever it is,
right,
in real time. But 1993, the
right.
internet was just in its infancy. I remember doing a story on this new thing called email, and that was in 1996, you
That's
know?
right.
Yeah. So it kind of makes your story a little more interesting having it set in a different time period, don't you think?
I think people have forgotten. I mean, we both lived in the 90s. We've
Mhm.
forgotten how different life was. We didn't have smartphones. We had car phones, and we thought that was really cool.
Or we had pagers and we were excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, people have forgotten, and this is only 2024. It was not that long ago.
Right.
And it has made a huge, I mean, since the smartphone, 2008, that has changed the world dramatically.
Yeah.
But I thought this is a little slice of, I based it in 1993 on purpose. It actually happened then
Hmm.
because I thought, yeah, they didn't have smartphones, they didn't have instant email, they didn't have the research I had to do. At the time, I had to do all of my research. I had to meet with the coroner in Memphis. I had to meet with the FBI. I really did do a lot of research, and it's totally different. I didn't have a computer with an email. I had a computer, but it was DOS. So,
Exactly. I think life was actually more interesting when you actually went out and looked at the microfilm and actually went out and talked to people, made the
right.
phone call, spoke to them, as opposed to everything being, on this
Yeah,
or on
exactly.
this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think you're finding a lot of stories are set back in time nowadays because of that. Yours was actually taking place in the 90s, so it fit. And it's a terrific story, and I think our readers will love it. I think our viewers will love it. Is there any message or anything that you hope people take away from it besides being highly entertained and can't wait for
Well, there
another
is
sequel?
a subtle message in it, which I believe I'm on the spiritual path, so to speak. And I wonder if people understand that you may kill a body, but you never kill the soul. It does live on. You do have to deal with it. And so that is in there, that it's a Jewish belief that if you repeat something 3 times, that it will stick with you. And so it's repeated in the book 3 times, but in a very subtle background way. It's not in your face.
Wonderful. The name of the book is Spirit of the Law and Crime Against the Soul, which, of course, Georgia was just alluding to. It is a gripping novel set in 1993 Memphis, and it takes us inside the courtroom and into the mind of a defense attorney turned prosecutor as he risks everything to expose a psychopath's deadly game. It's based in part on a real life story. It's been fictionalized. It is wonderful. You'll love it. You'll be saying, hey, when is this going to be a movie? And we're all saying that. So let's turn it into a film. Georgia, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time, your wit, your wisdom, and your insight to the folks at home. I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.